Hello coin collectors out there, welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. What you see in front of you right here are two wheat pennies. Now wheat pennies are cool, definitely worth pulling out of circulation. Unfortunately, they're not going to be super value in their regular circulated condition. But in this video, we'll talk about an error that can really increase the value of those. So wheat pennies will generally sell for 5 to 15 cents. You can't really sell one of them individually in circulated condition just because the transaction fees associated with that, the shipping and handling if you mail it, or the process of going in and selling it at your local coin shop won't really have a high enough profit margin. So you can sell them in groups of 10, 100, 50, maybe even 1,000, and then you can get a decent return on your investment right there. But if you've got one individual wheat penny, you can't really sell it unless you've got an error like we're going to talk about here. Now these two right here, one is dated 1957 and one is dated 1953. And if you read the title of the video, my guess is you know what we're going to be talking about. So let me zoom in and do some work with the lighting and adjust it a little bit so you can see what is going on right here. Now your attention was probably automatically drawn to the date, which is what I wanted you to look at. So if you look at the 9 in 1957, check that out right there. That's what's known as a die chip. In this particular die chip location is known as the filled in 9. Now it's even more prominent on this one back here. Look how bad that is right there. Wow. 1953 D with a huge die chip right in the 9 area. A filled in 9. Now this one's not as severe on the 1957. But if I get the lighting right for you, you can see it's definitely a little bit fatter, a little bit wider than it should be right there. So there's some extra metal that's included on this 1957D. Now these two coins normally aren't going to be worth a lot of money just because of the high mintages of them. In 1953 at the Denver Mint, there are 700 million of them made. 1957 at the Denver Mint, there are over 1 billion of them made. However, a likely cause of really high production and not taking good care of the dies is we have more errors. Now I've talked about before the 1957 BIE error. So interestingly, I've got a 1957 filled in 9 and a 1957 BIE. It's not this coin right here, but it's another one that I made separate video about. So what that is a die chip right here in between the B and E and Liberty. And it fills, it's just some extra metal in there that makes it look like there's an I in between B and E and Liberty. Now there's different errors associated. There's the LII error, which would be a die chip between the L and the I. The IIB error, which would just be a die chip in between there. So you guys get the idea. There's a lot of die chips out there where there's extra metal in the Liberty. However, these ones right here are a little bit harder to find, but there's still plenty of them out there. So let me describe a little bit more thoroughly what causes this error. So this is some information that I pulled from cointalk.com. It's a Lincoln penny thread that they had on there about 1958. So here's what someone posted regarding the filled in 9. The die is negative. So that's important to keep in mind when we're discussing this right here. So the die smashes into the planchet. The planchet is just the raw metal. However, the die itself is the negative. So the negative or reverse of the coin. So everything you see that's raised on the coin right here is actually cut into the die or recessed in the die. So the 9 is cut into the die, which means the area inside the loop of the 9 is no longer has any support to it. Just like digging a circle in dirt, the area inside the circle will collapse if you step on it. So it is in a die break, it fills in with planchet metal when the coin is being struck, creating a die fill. Since it's a hole, it shows up on the opposite or the raised on the coin. 1958s are very common with these, as well as 1957, which I've got right here, in 1953. Now, the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die and Variety Error Coins doesn't specifically list 1957 or 1953. That's just because this error could happen on any of the coins. It doesn't happen as frequently now because they take much better care of the dies, but back in the 1950s when they were mass producing these and not taking great care of the dies, we had a lot of die fill-in errors related to 1957, 58, 53, like you see right here. Now, these are selling on eBay. You can go out and get yourself some. They're sell for $1.50 to $2, depending on the condition of the coin, just like all the other errors that we talk about, and the severity of the error. So an error like the one we see in the back right here, where it's more severe, it's more filled in for the 1953, that will sell for more than this 1957 right here. So that's good news and bad news. It's good news if you're trying to sell your coin. It's bad news if you're trying to buy one. So there's a different option out there for everyone that's looking to buy some coins on eBay. Now, a very similar related error that I wanted to talk about is in regards to the 2005 Kansas State quarter. Now, I've made a separate video about this, so I won't go too thoroughly into the details, but there's what's known as a In God We Rust error coin. So if you look at the obverse of the coin, it's not this specific one right here, but you'll see In God We Rust. So it looks like the T is kind of missing. So that's what's known as a grease filled in error. So instead of like we had right here with the 1953, with the die itself filling in with metal, it's filled in with grease. So there was a bunch of extra grease on as used as a lubricant for the coin in the machine, and it got into the cut in the reverse side of the coin, the negative side of the die, and it created a filled in T letter. So the T, when it pressed into the planchet of the coin, you couldn't see anything at all. So that's what's known as the In God We Rust error, kind of a similar error to what we see right here with the filled in 9. Instead, we had a filled in T. So all the way from 1953 up until 2005, we're still having kind of similar errors with these coins. That's all the info that I've got for today's video. Hopefully you guys found it informative and helpful. If you've got a stack of wheat pennies in their dated 1950s, maybe it's worth going back and checking to see if you have any of them that have the filled in 9 error associated with them. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and best of luck coin collecting out there. Enjoy!